This time we're heading back to when Queen Victoria was on the throne and the British Empire spanned the world. If you saw our last video, you know we are in Shropshire, England, visiting Ironbridge, home of the first cast iron bridge in the world. Bliss Hill is part of the Ironbridge Gorge Museums. This open-air Victorian town lovingly recreates life in the year 1900. So let's head back in time and meet some of the locals. The museum grounds sit in a former industrial area. Open since 1973, the buildings were either on site at the time, have been built to resemble examples of period properties, or amazingly moved brick by brick to the museum. Lloyds Bank is externally an exact example of the Broseley branch just a few miles away. We visited Broseley in our last episode. Inside, the cashier's counter and all the fittings have been assembled from various banks in the country or on loan from Lloyds Bank archives. When there is no global pandemic, you can exchange your modern-day money for Victorian token coins like farthings, shillings, sixpence to spend in the shops around the town. The bank teller will explain how it all works, and it's great fun to learn this bygone currency, whether you're young or old and still remember it. The bicycle as we know it today evolved in the 19th century, became a very popular mode of transport for Victorians, and little repair shops like this popped up all over the country. Road quality improved as well and became smoother to cater for the ever-growing number of cyclists. The grocer would sell much more than just seasonal fruit and veg, stocking many dried or tinned provisions, like the all-important tea, bottled condiments and tinned fruit, maybe even some meat and fish. No well-established town would have been without one or two of these types of stores. A.F. Blakemore and Sons opened shop in 1917 in Wolverhampton and are still a thriving business some 100 years on. This shop is a copy of the original owned by the Owen family in Market Street, Ockengate. The pharmacy was really important in 1900 as people could generally not afford to go to the doctor and looked for the pharmacy to help them with remedies, ointments and cures to aid their ailments. It was around the time that branded products started to appear and you could pick from something the pharmacy had mixed or go for a more expensive branded item that you might trust. The pharmacy also stocked basic animal medicines, chemicals for photography. They were even the local opticians selling spectacles, and provision has been made in this store for a travelling dentist to visit once or twice a week. The New Inn pub was originally situated on the corner of Green Lane and Hospital Street in the Birchills area of Walsall. It was taken down brick by brick in 1981-82 and rebuilt on the corner of the main high street. Fully licensed, you can sit down for a pint inside or in the beer garden, and the locals often put on a musical sing-along throughout the day.
But she was a dear little dicky bird. Tweet, tweet. Now, what I was hoping for there was a street full of nightingales. I didn't even get one old crowed in her.
The cobbler would have repaired shoes and leather goods like bags time and time again for the local Victorians. They would have never dreamed of throwing anything away unless it was completely worn out. As education improved in the late 1800s and schools became compulsory, literacy became widespread, and the post office was the centre of this as people sent letters around the world. Fish and chip shops started around 1860 and became a staple food of the working class. The rapid development of fishing in the North Sea and the railways meant fish could be transported quickly to populated areas. You can enjoy lunch here cooked in beef fat. Some areas of the museum are original and were here hundreds of years ago, as this was a working industrial site. The oldest of these is the coal and clay mine, dug in the 1780s by Michael William Reynolds to extract the raw materials for the local industry. The mine shaft to take the workmen up and down to the coal seam still works to this day, and a local Victorian will show you how it works and demonstrate the shaft mechanism in action.
It would only take about 2 minutes to wind all the way down.
I mentioned that clay was also extracted from this mine, and Bliss Hill took advantage of this commodity in 1870 and built the tile and brickworks. You can learn more about the tile industry and the Victorians' love for decorative tiles in our previous episode when we visited Jackfield Tile Museum. The world's first steam locomotive was built in Coalbrookdale in 1802 from the designs of Richard Trevithick. The original engine is long gone, but a replica is regularly fired and chugs up and down a short track at various times of the day to show you how it works. This important engine predates the Stephenson rocket by some 25 years. To aid in the moving of heavy raw materials away from Bliss Hill to other factories and works, a canal was built in 1792 and linked up with the Hay Incline Plain we spoke about in detail in our last episode. This enabled tub boats to move coal and other materials to Coalport, China, or onto the River Severn to other industrial areas. You can walk down the canal banks and look at the Hay Incline Plain from the top within the Bliss Hill Museum. Bliss Hill has a vast number of exhibits for you to enjoy during your day at the museum, whether it's the butcher or the baker. Yes, you guessed it, and the candlestick maker. There's a huge amount to see and do. Live talks like this one by the local farrier about the use of horses in the town happen throughout the day, so make sure you check the What's On board at the entrance and make notes of the times.
The next look at
So this is the doctor's surgery, yeah?
Well, it isn't. It's just the Duke of Sutherland's house.
Oh.
I live in here with my 5 kids and wife, and the local doctor rents a room off us. Rather than people visit him at his own house, he comes to them, so he rents our parlour out from the back of us, and once a week the doctor will come and the locals, if they have any minor ailments, will come see him there. It was originally built in 1862, was lived in up till 1985. A place called Donington, about 3 miles from here. We literally took it down brick by brick, as you see, labelled it and brought it here. The following year, built it here. So this is one of the later houses on this site.
There are 3 blast furnaces at Bliss Hill, built in the 1830s and 40s. They would have been 15 metres high, and in their heyday, several hundred workers would have been making pig iron here around the clock 7 days a week. They were fully utilised until 1912, when the steel industry was taking shape and iron was in decline. The G.R. Morton Ironworks houses machinery and equipment that was used in the varied processes of puddling, rolling and shingling to convert pig iron from the blast furnaces into raw iron. The building itself came from Woolwich Dockyards, and it's very quiet here today. I'm not sure if they sometimes run demonstrations. The blacksmith was an important member of the local community, repairing tools, making horseshoes, nails and farming implements. The fire in the forge would have been kept going all day long. As the need for them died out at the end of the Victorian era, many turned to making decorative pieces, and now in the 21st century, with few around, they're sought after. The techniques and tools used by the blacksmith today has changed very little. Travelling fairs were very popular in Victorian times, and the working class townfolk would find a penny or two to take the family to the amusements and rides. The advent of steam power allowed for more exciting rides like this Chaeroplane to take centre stage at the fair. You can relive these amusements for a small extra fee at the museum. If you need a break, then Forest Glen Pavilion is a nice cafe on site to grab a bite to eat or a cup of tea. When Queen Victoria came to the throne, schools were for the rich, but this was to change in 1870 with a new law requiring all children to attend school. The buildings were imposing with high-up windows to prevent children from seeing out. In terms of lessons, they were basic, but focused on the 3 R's of reading, writing and arithmetic. Discipline was enforced hard, and it wasn't uncommon for children to be beaten by the cane made from birchwood. Boys typically on their backside, whereas girls would take their punishment on their legs or hands. A school day was from 9 AM to 12 noon, when children would go home for lunch just like Victorian workmen usually did. Then the afternoon was from 2 PM to 5 PM. For teachers, the most important equipment was the chalkboard and easel. The mainstay of any lesson for the children was to copy information from the chalkboard onto the slate board. Paper was expensive and slate could be wiped clean and used again, so very cost effective. The older children would begin to write in a book using a dip pen and a black ink from an inkwell. There were designated ink monitors whose job it was to fill the inkwells each and every morning. A Victorian funicular, sadly closed due to COVID, can whisk you from the upper and lower levels of the museum. The Clay Mine Railway was also shut during our visit. You can normally take the mine train underground and learn about life and working conditions of a miner. This squatter's cottage, made of stone only 1 story high and with the privy or toilet outside, would have been the home of up to 9 people at one time. It gets its name because people who built it and lived in it squatted on land that they didn't actually own. Instead, they paid an annual rent to the landowner, called a fine. This cottage was moved to the museum in the 1970s. Inside you can see there's very little space to store anything. It would have been extremely cramped and a miserable life, but at least they had a roof over their heads. As we head back into town, there is still more to see and keep you occupied throughout your time at Bliss Hill. You will need at least half a day here, if not the whole day, to enjoy it. Visit ironbridge.org.uk for the latest pricing and opening information. Help us grow our channel by subscribing to future videos and follow us on social media. Our website memoryseekers.net has many videos from around the world and lots of information. It's updated regularly. Sadly, we've reached the end of our tour and the visit to all 10 museums at Ironbridge. Make sure you check out our other 2 videos covering the rest. End your visit with a look around the gift shop or a stop at the railway cafe. We hope you have a great day out. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.